But coming in here, oh, and Zero actually goes for a sick lean back of a lead again. Oh, and Mira does go for the bounce style. Zero goes for the push. How is this guy always finding these micro moves to just save so much time? Here, very tricky part is one. Plastic has to break a little in the ceiling, and that allows Sveiner to catch up at the very end. Welcome back to the penultimate week of the Cream Pie Cup. This week we have two brand new exciting events. The first one here by VTech. It's a fast-paced curvy pipe with very few breaks. It's just constant action all the way throughout. And on the other hand, we have this pipe by Bluedeck. A little bit longer, maybe a little bit more complex. And the pipes here are also very narrow and many of them are curved. So it's very tricky piping in this level. And I'm also digging the visual design a lot. It's a really beautiful level as well. So two very cool events and some very exciting results as we jump into the first event for the week and the battle for third place, where we have the two Norwegian Kuskis, Plastic and Sveiner. Both of these Kuskis have been at the very top in almost every single event, and we finally get the great Norwegian showdown here. Team CMR versus Team EMA. Let's start by following Plastic and see what they both do here. Coming in, and no jump actually to get into the first pipe. I would have expected that. Sveiner gets a nice push from the wall here and manages to catch up and actually pass Plastic here right at the very beginning. So Sveiner eking out a tiny lead here in the very beginning of the pipe. And here is a very crucial moment where you have to try to get a push from the flower crevice. No one actually gets that push really. But coming in here for the middle, and Plastic has a little bit better middle, maybe catching up a little bit, but Sveiner still in the lead. Again, micro movements matter so much so that you can see Plastic passing here just from a little bit better push in that ascending pipe. So now we have Plastic in the lead instead. Can he keep the lead all the way back to the flower? You come back here through the loop, down all the way and coming up here. Very tricky part is one. Plastic has to break a little in the ceiling and that allows Sveiner to catch up at the very end. But Plastic beats him right at the very end. Again, micro movements. Sveiner gets an extra push here from the wall, and you can see that alone allows him to catch up and pass Plastic very early in the level. And then here was a very tricky section with a lot of like bumps, so it's so easy to hit your head. Ideally you wanted a push here from the like flower lip that sticks out. Plastic gets some good gassing in the ceiling here, so he's able to catch up a little bit. But Sveiner, let's see what Plastic did here, because at this point he would catch up. Sorry, Plastic here. He just gets a very strong push up into this pipe and a very nice secondary push here. You can tell, boom, there. That just allows him some little bit more extra upwards momentum and gets a nice push down there as well. And then he manages to keep this lead all the way down the descending pipe. And then again, here was a very tricky section. You can see Plastic doing some micro breaks at the wall here to just allow for some more rotation. And that allows Sveiner actually to catch up. But at the very end, Plastic had a tiny lead and he managed to keep it all the way, even though it's a very, very slight lead. Sveiner, 47.07, Plastic, 0.05 of a second faster at 47.02. And funnily enough, me and T-Technique, 0.07 slower than Sveiner, but coming in at the exact same time. Both of us get 5th place and 62.5 points. But you can tell it was a very tight battle. All of these times here are in the 47-second range even. But that of course leaves the question, what about first and second place? Well, if you've been following this cup, it should come as no surprise that it's Zero and Mira fighting for the first place finish. Will Mira in the ribcage shirt be able to beat Zero in the cactus shirt? His teammate Audi managed once so far in this cup. Maybe Mira will manage now. Let's find out as we start by following Zero here. And Zero actually goes for this jump to get into the first pipe. I think that's a little bit faster, but turns out maybe it's actually pretty much even. They're both glued to each other right here. Both getting a nice wheel pressure in ceiling. Zero gets a very nice wheel pressure here in the floor as well and manages to squeeze out a little bit of a lead. Both of them get very good pushes here by the flower. Coming up, again, this part was so awkward, very, very hard to do fast. But Zero manages to keep his lead here. He had a very good middle right before the flower. And let's see, both of them getting, actually Zero getting a very good push there from the ceiling. Mira, maybe not so much, but coming in here. Oh, and Zero actually goes for a sick lean back to get into that pipe. I never even thought about trying that. And that just gives him even bigger of a lead here against Mira. And there's no way that Mira is going to catch up. Zero wins the 14th event of the Cream Pie Cup. And yeah, I thought actually jumping here in the start like Zero does, it just felt natural to do. But turns out maybe it's not as fast. And Zero also gets this push from the wall like we saw Sveiner get in the beginning. So that allows him to catch up. But Mira just has a very good part here. so they keep glued to each other. But Zero, you can tell here after this second push, Zero manages to get a little bit of wheel pressure here as well, conserve all of that momentum so it doesn't have to vault too early, and that just allows him to push from this ceiling instead and get very nice rightwards momentum. Good pushes here, and this part, it was just really awkward no matter how you did it. You see that you have to brake a little bit to enter this pipe. Very nice level design by making it so awkward. Zero actually gets a very nice push here down from the ceiling. Mira gets a push, but it's a little bit weaker. He's not like aligned with the ceiling there. And then here, that lean back is just so insane. Let's look at that again. Comes in, goes here with an all vault to come back and just like not hitting your head or anything. You can see it's very close. And then also not hitting the corner up here, but manages to get right into that loop, and that just allows him to push away with so much force. But then he kind of has to like lose a little bit speed because of that break anyway. But really beautiful style there by Zero, and manages to save enough speed here at the very end to not allow Mira to catch up. Mira breaks the 47-second barrier and ends at 46.52, an insane time considering everything here is 47, and he beats it by half a second. But then Zero, of course, almost a full second faster than Mira, which is just, it's just insane. Like there's like nothing you can do to beat Zero at this point, but still it remains the mission for, I guess, every single player here. But let's see, maybe in the next event already. We don't know what's gonna happen as we jump into the 15th event by Blue Deck. And again, we begin with the battle for third place, where we have Barry P in the VLC shirt, and a new face to the top 3 competition. We have Orange Choke in the Cobra shirt, and Orange Choke from the same team as Blastek, Team CMR, competing against Zero's team here, Team Dot. Let's follow Orange Choke as we see them progress through Blue Deck's level here. And in the beginning was fairly straightforward, just keep your momentum here, go for front wheel bounce here. Barry P actually gets a very low bounce there, but coming in for the curvy section, hard to keep your momentum here, but they both do it very well. Coming in here for the lean back section, you have to go through this pipe, get a little bit of lean back so you keep your rightwards momentum to come into the bottom pipe here, and then clear the gap. Very nice pushing here by Orange Choke to keep the height, and then both of them going for this push. Very, very nice. Very hard to do that kind of all-out push from the wall. I went for a bounce, but that was actually slower. Orange Choke goes for the little bit safe style here with the front push, and Barry P goes for a little bit faster style and has more speed coming out of that pipe. And now at the very end, he's passing Orange Choke. Orange Choke kept the lead all the way throughout, but Barry P, will he keep the lead? He does. Barry P beats Orange Choke at the very last moment. We saw actually Orange Choke leading the entire level, I think. Again, Barry P goes very low here, but he manages to get the back wheel up anyway. And we can follow Barry P a little bit to just see what he did, if anything, differently. But they looked fairly similar in these runs. Gets an extra push there, but it doesn't gain that much anyway. Pushing down, and this was really hard to survive. You have to get like a good wheel pressure, but not die, not hit your head or anything. Both of them coming out. And again, here I went for a bounce because it was actually the easier style. But the way faster style was to just get some compression and then push away like this and gas up a little bit, but you needed a lot of speed because you see both of their heads get very close to the ground here. But with enough speed you could get it, and then you get a nice push from the ground there to just get so much faster into this pipe. But here was the next crux of the level. I actually did the same style as Orange Choke here, where you push into the ground first and then push out, because it made the next pipe much easier. But the faster style was actually to do 2 kind of right volts, because then you're pushing out of the ground upwards and then you get more speed upwards, but it was so much harder to clear the next pipe. So we can follow here. Orange Choke pushes into the ground, Barry P pushes out of the ground, more speed, out of the ground again, more speed, and that just allows him, you can see he just keeps this speed all the way, and it also gets a very nice push here from the ceiling. Boom, a little bit more rightwards momentum, and that alone just makes him easily pass Orange Choke here in the last pipe. Good bounces from both of them, but Barry P comes out on top. Barry P 48.75, Orange Choke 48.98. Very good showing here by CMR, but unfortunate for Orange Choke, losing his first potential podium finish here in the cup right at the very end of that level. But again, that of course leads us into the competition for the first place finish, where we again have Zero in the Cactus shirt, Mira in the ribcage shirt. Let's see if Mira can make it happen this time as we follow these two players for the first place finish. Zero has a little bit different kind of start and gets a very nice push from the wall and already squeezing out a big lead against Mira. How is this guy always finding these micro moves to just save so much time? It is insane actually. But Zero has a very good lead here now, but Mira gets a very nice push from the wall and gets a little bit more speed out of that than Zero, I think. So he is actually catching up now. Mira is not going down without a fight. He is completely caught up. Zero maybe squeezing out a little bit of a lead again. Oh, and Mira does go for the bounce style. Zero goes for the push. And again, yeah, the push is just a little bit faster. But will Mira be able to catch up again? Zero has a very nice style here, coming in for the ascending pipe. And both of them coming in. Zero gets a nice push from the ceiling. And Zero just pulling out ahead. Good push from the roof. Good bounce. And it's just a perfect run by Zero. A little bit different kind of start. Early push here. Coming out with a little bit more speed. But then again, Mira was able to catch up. But that comes from a little bit later. Zero has a tiny bit of a lead from the start here. Very nice moves. And then if we follow if we follow Mira here, you can tell that he gets this push. Boom, right wall there. Zero does not get that push, and that just allows Mira to get a little bit more speed. You can see slowly creeps up on Zero, and he's almost able to pass, but then Zero has a very good section here, manages to squeeze out a little bit more speed, and here was the big crux as well. Mira goes for a back wheel bounce, which usually is like the fastest style. Zero goes for the Olo, but that allows Zero to push from this ground here. Mira does not get a push. Mira does get some very good gassing by just going here, but getting that extra push also just gives you so much more momentum that the bounce in the end was a little bit slower, and Zero pulling out a little bit ahead here. And then good Olo, you see just the right volts here to get as much ascending speed as you can. Very nice alignment here as well. Like, look at these micro movements that he does here. He comes out, he has kind of a lot of rotation, so he just corrects a little bit with counter gas. Sees that he corrects a little bit too much, so he does some more gassing with the back wheel, so the back wheel just like completely barely clears the corner here. If he hits the roof a little bit to the left here, he's gonna lose all his speed. He's gonna like get too much rotation. It's just gonna be awkward. But these like tiny gassing like moves in the air just saves that like complete setup. And here, very beautiful to go very high here to get a push from the ceiling straight into the bounce and straight for the flower. Mira comes in at 48.62, a great time in this level, but Zero 47.45, more than a second faster than Mira. Zero is firmly in the lead here. PhotoPea about 50 points ahead of Mira. Anything can still happen there actually. And then Blastek a little bit behind. I'm about 50 points from Blastek as well, so anything can happen here. Anatoly can for sure give me a run for my money. Sveiner can compete against Anatoly. Anything can happen in the top 10. And that's what we have in store for next week, which is also the last week, where we have two brand new events by Hosp and Marku, and we also have the one main attraction, which is the chain pipe that has been going for the entire cup. It's worth double points. It's gonna be really fun to see the results in this level as well. But that might be a separate video. I'll figure that out next week. But until then, thanks for watching.